Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Friday, August 8th, 2014, around 7:53 p.m. The sun's going down in Belleville, Massachusetts. One little tidbit to report. The Board of Directors of Market Basket this afternoon offered Arthur T. DeMoulis to come back with the company to help them rebound, but they had one condition. He comes back without the title of CEO. And about an hour later, Arthur T. DeMoulis rejected the offer, saying it's window dressing and this is a very serious situation and stuff. I think Arthur T. DeMoulis knows that going back to Market Basket without being the CEO or without having any power it's just a power play. It's just a pawn in the game and a puppet. He does not want to be puppets to the board of directors of these new CEOs, F and G. He doesn't want to be. And this Market Baskets, they're running out of time, I'm telling you. I think Market Basket's in serious trouble. They need to get this resolved quickly, or the company is going to fold. The company's going to go under, and that's not good at all. They need a solution, and the solution is just let bygones be bygones and let the board of directors and Arthur S. DeMoulis sell Market Basket to Arthur T. DeMoulis. That's the right thing to do, but this thing has just gone way too long. It's just personal. It's disgusting. It didn't have to be like this, but you know how family feuds are. It takes forever for them to get resolved. That's about it on that. My third and final video blog of the night is my personality profile, and it's about one of Boston's most famous play-by-play announcers, Ken Coleman. Ken Coleman was the voice of the Boston Red Sox on television and radio for over 20 years. And he was one of the greatest Red Sox announcers of all time. Ken Coleman grew up in Quincy, Massachusetts, and he had a childhood accident that left him blind in his left eye, and he could not go into serving the Army during World War II because he was a 4F. That means he was disqualified due to health reasons. And Ken started his broadcasting career in 1947 on WJDA radio in Quincy, Massachusetts, broadcasting sports and talk shows and stuff like that. He got his first big break in 1952 when he became the Cleveland Browns radio and television announcer. He was the Browns television announcer and radio announcer, play-by-play announcer for 14 years, and he called every touchdown of Hall of Fame running backs Jim Brown's career. Amazing. And then for 10 years, from 1954 to 1963, Ken was the play-by-play announcer for the Cleveland Indians on television. His first season, the Cleveland Indians won 111 games, then record for most wins in a season by an American League team. Also, Ken called college football games on the radio for Ohio State, BU, and Harvard. Ken returned home to Boston in 1965 to call Red Sox games on the radio and television. He replaced Kurt Gowdy. Kurt moved on to become the #1 play-by-play announcer for NBC Sports, so Ken replaced Kurt, and Ken, for the first tour of duty for the Red Sox, he worked 10 seasons for the Red Sox as play-by-play announcer. He did the 1967 World Series on NBC radio and NBC's television. This was when the time that NBC still used local announcers to do the World Series. And he also called some NFL games for NBC back in the early 70s. He did preseason games for the New England Patriots on television for 1 year in 1972. In 1975, Ken moved back to Ohio, Cincinnati, to call Reds games on the television for about 4 years, from 1975 to 1978. Then he returned home to Boston to call Red Sox games on the radio from 1979 to 1989. Ken's partners during those times, broadcast partners, were Rico Petrocelli, John Miller, and Joe Castiglione. And Ken retired from broadcasting Red Sox games at the end of the 1989 season, and he enjoyed retirement, but he came back later on to do some Yukon and Fairfield basketball games on Connecticut Public Television in the 90s. And he wrote several books about broadcasting, and he was a founding father of the Red Sox Booster Club and the Bo Sox Club, and he was involved in the Jimmy Fund charity that raised money for cancer. And one of Ken's favorite pastimes was he swam the Atlantic Ocean in the late fall to the earliest days of spring. During his retirement, he did almost whenever he could before he passed away. And Ken Coleman is in the Hall of Fame, the Red Sox Hall of Fame, and he's been a finalist many times to win the Ford Frick Award for Broadcasting Excellence. Ken Coleman passed away in 2003 at the age of 78. He in Plymouth, Massachusetts, he retired to Plymouth after his Red Sox career, and his famous home run call, this was one of his famous home run calls. They usually show movies on a flight like this. Ken Coleman was probably one of the most best announcers of all time for the Red Sox. I really believe he should be in the broadcasting in the Hall of Fame, and it's just a shame that he's not going to enjoy it because he passed away. They're going to have to award it posthumously. It's, he should have won it when he was still alive, but those things happen, and you can't take anything. That was the way, so that it is what it is. But Ken had an amazing broadcasting career, calling all of the touchdowns in Hall of Fame running backs Jim Brown's career, and seeing 3 Red Sox World Series World Series series matchups and other stuff. He probably had a great broadcasting career. So that's about it for me for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow with at least 3 to 6 more video blogs. And tomorrow, I'm confirming right now, the first video blog I'm going to do of the day is the 10 greatest New York Islander players of all time. Sunday, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins top 10 players of all time. Then Monday, the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm going to probably start working on the other teams that won at least a cup or so. Then I'm going to be working on the top 10 players of the teams that didn't win a cup. But it might be very hard to get the 10 best players of all time. The Nashville Predators, Florida Panthers, Winnipeg Jets / Atlanta Thrashers. But I'll get to them. Don't worry. And if this is successful, I might do it for the top 10 players of all time for the NBA franchises and NFL and Major League Baseball. It's been an interesting series. Well, I'm getting good feedback on these video blogs, so if there's any feedback, just leave it to me. And if there's anything you want me to say on these blogs, leave me a private message and I'll say it to them. Good night, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. See you tomorrow.